Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Record Drums Online podcast, the podcast where I get to chat to session drummers, mixing and mastering engineers, and also music producers. In this episode, I had the chance of interviewing Austrian session drummer David Eibl. If you don't know David, check him out on Instagram. He's got like a great Instagram account. He's an awesome drummer, and he does like all these videos where he breaks down literally every microphone and how they sound like during his recordings. He's got like great knowledge on when it comes to recording drums, on how to mix drums. So we talk also about mixing drums. What's his workflow when it comes to dealing with clients over, for remote recordings. We talk about gear, pricing. There is a lot to learn in this episode. So make sure you stick around for the whole episode. And as always, please make sure you subscribe, you like, tell your friends about this podcast so that we can keep on growing as much as possible. And that's it. So without further ado, here he is, David Eibl. Where are you right now? Are you're not in your studio, right?
No,
You're home.
In my apartment
nice.
in Linz. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. Oh man, that's awesome. So we normally start every episode with like asking how did you start playing drums? How did you get into music? And if you could give us like a bit of a background story of how did you get up to right now? Just recording great drums. Yeah.
Well, I started playing drums at an early age, 7, I think, in Upper Austrian Music School, and then I played in my first bands. Then I actually went to a kind of a technical vocational college and stopped for a bit. And after that, I knew that I definitely would not want to do that as a profession. So I thought, what else can I do? And playing drums was always kind of a part of what I did. So I decided to try and apply for studying music, which I did then in Linz at Bruckner University. I studied jazz drums. Then I moved to Berlin for a couple of years, lived there for, I think, from 2011 until 2016 or something like that. Then I moved to Vienna, lived there for a couple of years, and now I'm in Linz because my girlfriend is a double bass player and she plays in the local orchestra. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so proper musical partnership. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So, and I gradually, worked my way into recording because that took a while because I never really... it took a while for me to find out what I actually like in sound-wise and how I would like to play. And, all that studying music did not really help that much, to be honest, because you see all these other great drummers and I was a bit overwhelmed. And it took a couple of years, actually, after finishing studying music to trust myself enough to find my own voice in that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And how did you kind of go and just like, I'm gonna immerse myself? Because you seem to, you're not like a beginner when it comes to recording drums. When I see your videos, I'm like, wow, okay, this guy definitely knows what he's doing.
Thanks.
So
thanks for the compliment. Lots of failing and trying out versions of me that didn't work for me, and then but I kept trying and I kept playing drums, and so it seemed to not work without playing music, so I kept doing it. Nice. And then I slowly found my likes and what I what I actually prefer in that. And I found that what was always a big part of me making music was my affinity to sound. Sound was always is always one of the first things that gets me when I hear music. Then I listen to how the drums sound and how they fit in, and it's such a big part of what a song actually is. That always got me. I just never, or it took a long time to find place where this could actually be useful, and recording
Mm,
is this place for me
for
because
sure.
it's all about that.
For
Mm.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask you actually, do you do many live gigs or are you mainly focused on studio work at the moment?
Yeah, depends. It varies a little. This year, I'm going to do a lot of live gigs. Actually, I'm touring pretty extensively with a Tina Turner tribute band.
Oh,
It's
nice.
a 2 month or 2.5 month long tour starting at the beginning of March in yeah
Great.
Austria, Switzerland, and Germany.
Yeah.
And I play live in the bands of two Austrian singer-songwriters as well. It's also amounts to a couple of shows a year, like 30 maybe. But other than that, last year, for example, there were maybe, I don't know, 30 live shows or maybe 40, and the
Yeah,
rest
yeah, yeah.
I did studio work.
Studio work. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How do you
Mm.
find like when you playing live versus when you're playing in studio? I guess like it's two different animals, right? Like when it comes to
It is.
as you were
Mm.
saying, sound is so important in the studio and of course even live, but it
Mm.
just in the studio especially you kind of have to really pay attention to the sound that it
Yeah.
fits the song.
I kind of feel that I have to compromise a little when I play live because you can go into detail when you're in recording drums and much more into detail than you can do live because I cannot bring like 5 snares every time I play
Exactly.
a live gig. That would just be too much for me and maybe too much for the sound guy.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I try to, do the songs justice by, I don't know, changing maybe the snare sometimes or dampening the snare. But yeah, so that's the biggest difference for me that I have to find my way around. That I
Yeah,
cannot
yeah,
go into as much detail sound wise when I play a
yeah,
live gig, and it's not always in my hands as well because there's the sound guy and he has his own opinion, and
of course.
if we get along that's great, if we don't, it sometimes
Yeah,
can be hard
yeah, 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 yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. So
communicate and to tell him that actually it's supposed to sound like that, or to um, explain what I actually how it's meant to sound. Yeah,
yeah, I
so
guess because it's difficult as well, especially when you come from like a studio engineering background as well. That how drums are supposed to sound. Because I remember when I started, I was doing live gigs. And just no
yeah.
idea. I know sound engineering was so far away from playing drums at the time
Mhm.
that I was literally leave it to the sound engineers. I had no clue what he was doing, no clue if he was doing it right as well. But now, as you were
Mhm.
saying, you kind of need to work together and just find the right compromise, right? Otherwise, you
Yeah,
just
definitely. And I don't want to get in his way because it's actually his expertise. He knows how his PA sounds and what to do to make drums work on a huge PA. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's actually that's not my place, but I have a notion of how it should sound like, and
yeah.
I try to explain that usually because that makes it easier for him, probably.
No, no, for sure, for sure. And even
Mm.
some sound engineers, they're amazing. For example, at tuning drums, I found like some sound engineers, they're
Mm.
phenomenal at tuning. And I'm like, you know what? You do this better than me. It's just, I'll leave it to you for for this
Yeah,
live.
yeah.
I
Maybe
trust you.
they have to sometimes because some drummers don't really care much about tuning.
The tuning. Yeah, 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 yeah. Do you I
So
mean, from watching your videos, actually, I saw you do a lot of, I'm sure you tune the drums like, do you have like a method on when it comes to tuning drums or
yeah, no, not really. It's
no?
just a lot of trial and error usually.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
some go-tos, and um, with experience, I get a little faster, and I have a notion usually what works and what doesn't. But
Nice.
still, sometimes it takes quite a while actually to tune the drums
Oh
in a
yeah,
way that they actually sound good on the microphones.
absolutely. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sometimes you have like the live, your ears they hear something, and then on the mics you're like, wait, no, this is doesn't.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
exactly
Yeah,
the same.
yeah.
Nice. Oh man. So when it comes to recording drums, like, can I ask you, like, I see a lot of your gear is phenomenal. Like you got the Radio King in the studio. I think it was some Ludwig I saw as well. So like the
Mm.
kids. When it comes to gear, is that uh, would you say that gear is, let's say in a percentage way, how much percentage uh, gear has as an importance in your in your sound?
Well, it's definitely important because I kind of connect with my drums, and I like them, and I
Yeah,
chose them because they sound a certain way. But I think more important is that I actually have a notion of how it should sound like before I choose the drums. And that's maybe the biggest part of sound, that I know how I want it to sound.
yeah,
And then, of course, gear plays an important role because I don't know, 26-inch bass drum sounds different than a 20-inch bass drum. Yeah, and if you have a closed resonant head, then it will sound very different from if you have no resonant head at all. So it plays a role, of course, and a very important one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there
So
like would you recommend in terms of, like, I say someone is like, oh man, I don't know what to buy, I want to do this, I want to do like the remote recording thing,
mm.
what would you recommend in terms of, like, things you need to have, the must
I,
haves?
Well, I would say start with what you have and just try and see how many different sounds you can get out of that.
Mm, mm.
Because, one drum doesn't have one sound. There are like a myriad sounds in one snare drum. It depends on how you tune it, if you dampen it or not, in which room you put it, and how you put the
Yeah,
microphones, and how your touch and feel is. And so, like, when you will play on the same drum kit than it sounds completely different. So
yeah,
I would say start with what you have, and if you have like one snare and one bass drum, great, start there. And of course, it would be awesome to have, like, I don't know, 100 snares and 25 kits.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But stuff will accumulate, so it will get more and more over
Over the
time.
years, yeah, yeah. Are you one of those
But
guys that is always looking like on
I
eBay or stuff
kind of
like that?
am,
Yeah,
yeah. I have these
okay.
periods where, like, I'm not satisfied with I don't know, or where I'm constantly searching for new sounds. Let's put it like that. And sometimes it happens that I think I need a new drum set for that, which is usually not true. I just want to have a new drum kit, and
Yeah, yeah. We all there, man. Yeah, we all do that.
then
I'm exactly the same. Spent hours on eBay, just like, oh gosh, I need
yeah,
to. Like, I don't need
yeah,
anything. I'm fine. I'm okay. I can do with what I have, but nah, we just want more.
exactly.
Especially after I see your videos, man. I'm like, oh my god, look at that. Look at the Radio King. I need that. I need that. So good.
Yeah, that's actually pretty special. I bought that from Mark Jeffs, actually, in the Rusty Drums.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
He's, I
yeah.
think,
Rusty
yeah, it's
drums.
1 hour north of London.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
should
Rusty
visit him.
drums.
He's
Yeah,
a great guy,
yeah.
and he has a nice selection of drums. And I bought that from him. I actually went with my car to London and picked it up from him in person.
No way. Oh
Yeah,
man, from Austria. Wow. How long did it take? Was it like 10 hours? Or
yeah,
probably more.
longer, I think. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
longer. Mhm.
Man, well done. Wow. That's, yeah, I need to go. I live an hour and a half from him, and I keep saying I want to go, and I just never go.
Yeah,
And yeah, I
yeah,
need
it's
to go.
worth it. He's a really nice guy. Mhm.
Yeah, 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 he is. I spoke to him a few times actually, so he seems like a very, very lovely guy. So
Cool.
um nice, yeah. So going back to recording, can I ask you, like, what's your quote unquote standard mic setup when it comes to recording? Like, what pre's do you use? What do you do on the way in? If you do anything on the way in?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a broad question, but
That's a good question. I have a pretty basic setup, actually, in terms of preamps. I use the RME preamps and the Universal Audio. There's what's the name of that? It's 4 preamps combined, and you can choose if you want to have a transistor preamp or a tube preamp. I don't know what's it called. But I
okay,
have
yeah,
4 Universal Audio preamps. They sound quite nice. And other than that, just RME standard preamps. Really,
okay,
they are good, but nothing special. And
nice.
I don't have any outboard equipment, actually, because I would like to have some, but I can't afford it because like a compressor is like 5,000 euros. So,
I know.
and
I know.
and that never ends. So I kind of limit myself to what I have now and buy a couple of good drums and microphones instead,
Yeah.
and don't
Yeah.
play like try not to start with all outboard equipment stuff. So that's pretty basic actually. And in terms of mic setup, um, I tend to get bored easily with the sound, so I play around with that as much as I can. And if I get bored, then I force myself to just try something new, which means put another microphone on another position and move them around a little. And but there are some go-tos I usually start with if I have to be quick and if I have to know that this works for me, then I would usually use my Coles as a stereo room mic pair somewhere in the room, and then the AKG 414 as my stereo overheads, and then there's usually a mono overhead, which is sometimes another Coles, or it's like a cheap dynamic mic, depending on what I'm going for. And other than that, it's really basic, like Sennheiser on the toms most of the time, SM57 or SM7B, the snare. And then I have a pretty good selection of cheap dynamic mics that cost from 10 euros up to maybe 100, but not more than that. And I place them everywhere around the drum set as trash mics. And sometimes they work and sometimes they sound awful, and then I don't use them.
Okay. Yeah. So is there like normally do you plan out like around what 10 microphones to record, or
Sometimes two,
sometimes
sometimes
two? Yeah.
15 or
Yeah.
16 or more. But actually, I tend to record more than I use in the mix, because they're there anyway, and then I just quickly listen through them and
Yeah.
see if I like them, and if I don't, then I just leave them out of the mix.
Just let them out. Okay.
But
Yeah.
sometimes, like I try to limit myself to try and achieve a good sound with, let's say, I don't know, only two mics, and try to position them so that I really capture the whole drum kit in a way that I
Nice.
like it.
Yeah. Well, sorry, with on the kick, I might have missed it. You said D12 you use on the kick.
I didn't
No.
say that, but yeah, I do. I
Okay.
have an
Yeah.
old AKG D12, but
Oh, that's
also
okay.
here I have a couple of different ones. I have this very cheap Thomann ribbon mic. It's an RB 500,
Oh
and
no.
it actually works kind of as a sub kick mic for the kick.
Oh
I
wow.
high
Okay.
cut it a lot, and then there's this kind of a oomph sound is what's left of it, and it kind of works pretty
Yeah.
nice. It's a ribbon, a very very cheap ribbon.
Very cheap. Very okay. Nice. Yeah.
Mhm.
And when you go on the way in, do you do any, like, for example, I use the UAD preamps as well, but I put like some of the Neves, for example, on it.
Mhm.
And I was wondering, do you use any of those, or do you add any EQ or uh,
Actually,
compression on the way in?
actually not, because a little bit of compression sometimes when I know that I do that for these trash mics sometimes, that I really destroy them before even doing anything processing wise, because I know that I will gonna need them that way. And then I compress them really hard. But that's basically all I can do with these universal audio preamps. There's not much of an EQ section going on, so
Okay.
I'll have to do that in the box later.
Okay. Yeah. And your studio, I just I just assume, is he in your house, or is it like a
No,
somewhere else?
actually, I rent this place, and it's
Okay.
45 minutes away from my apartment. But it's the best place I could ever
Yeah.
imagine to
It looks
record drums in.
phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful room, and it's big. It's like 60 square meters, and it's 5 meters high, and it's really, really awesome. I was so lucky, because the guy who owns the studio actually doesn't do a lot of recording in it anymore. He used to, but then he got more into live. He's a sound guy, and he got more into live engineering stuff, and he doesn't use it. And I just offered him to pay a monthly rent, and he agreed. and
Oh,
now
that's
it's
awesome.
basically mine.
Yeah. This is like a professional studio, because I see also the
Yeah.
panels you have behind you. Some of
Yeah,
the panels.
yeah, it's a
Just like,
recording studio, but I
yeah.
didn't have to do anything for it because everything is already there. I just can use it.
Wow.
It's
Amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always.
Can you
Hmm.
use his gear as well, or?
Yeah, I could, but he doesn't have much of an outboard
Mm,
equipment as well. So he
okay.
has some good preamps. I think there's this Avalon tube preamp I use sometimes, but it's not really mine. So it's always a bit complicated to um, uh, route the stuff to my equipment because I am quite independent, and I tend to just turn around and have my stuff back behind the drums.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I would use his equipment, then I would have to go to a separate room, which is kind of takes too long usually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice, man. When it comes to so you were saying like you do everything in the box after, right? Like in terms of mixing.
Yeah.
What do you? Because I keep seeing those videos that you post, and it's so fascinating when you post like the breakdown of
Hmm.
each microphone. Uh, if you hear my breakdown, it sounds awful every time. Like your ones, they sound super clean and super nice. Can I ask you,
Thanks.
how do you do it? Like, do you put gate on it, or do you just like what exactly do you do for just sometimes you just hear the kick and that's it. Mine, you just picks up everything. Or just like, and
Yeah.
so, of course sometimes I just sometimes I put some gate as well. But yeah, can you give us a little bit or how do you do it?
Sure, but that's very, very different depending on the context.
Sure.
So what you're usually hearing is the processed signal. So I don't show the signal without anything going in,
Mm.
but what you would hear is in these videos you probably heard is the processed kick signal, the processed snare signal, and so with all the effects on it that I think necessary for the sound. So and what these effects and plugins and treatments are varies very much, and sometimes a gate I think is necessary depending on how separated I want to have the sounds, and if I don't know if I want to record something very processed or something very in your face drums, then I sometimes I need gates, and then I gate the drums. So I'm not really. I do what's necessary, in my
Yeah.
opinion, to achieve a certain sound. And sometimes I want to have it open and more of the room, and then a gate is, of course, not necessary. But what I do usually is EQing, then certain type of compression. Then there is distortion and saturation as one category, and reverb. And then there are, as a fifth category, maybe, these utility plugins like gates and transient shapers and all these,
Yeah.
stuff that you
Okay.
can do with drum signals. Sometimes I
Yeah.
also do try really weird stuff, like things you would normally would not want to do on a drum set, like flangers and more like guitar effects, which also works fine sometimes.
Yeah.
Very much depending on the context. So I really cannot tell you that I use this EQ and this distortion plugin, because also that varies. It's just usually these 5 categories are going on. Yeah, it's EQ,
Yeah.
compression, saturation, distortion, some kind of reverb to create some different depth of a drum set, because you want to have overdubs. Maybe you want to have pan left and right and in a different space than the drum kit itself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I ask you, when it comes to EQing? So you said EQ compression. Do you start as always kick, snare, overheads? How's your process when it comes to mixing drums? If you have one, like from the
Yeah.
chains.
Um, how's my process? Maybe there are 2 approaches. One approach is that I start with the whole drum bus and see what happens if I compress the drum bus a little, maybe distort it a little, and without doing any EQs or whatever to the single mics. If that seems to work, then I do, a little bit of cleanup on the kick and the snare and the overheads, and maybe low cut the overheads a little bit, and maybe distort the room mic and see if that changes the overall sound. If that does not really work by just compressing the whole and playing around with the whole drum bus, then I would maybe go to the individual mics and see what's actually there and what I do not need and what I do need and what feels good to me. So maybe these two, there are these two approaches. So starting with the like single mics, and then listen to each one of them and playing around with the phase and see they're in phase actually, and then process each one of them and then compress them a little bit and then see what comes out at the end. Or I start at the end and work my way back to the single mics.
Nice. Yeah. When you're mixing, are you after you record it, do you go and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna hear the drums with the track, or do you just focus on the drums only?
I usually listen to the drums within the track, but of course it's a going back and forth. But the drums have to make sense in the song, of course, because that's why I recorded them the way I did. And I usually have a notion of what they should do in the song before I start recording. And I try to adjust everything according to this notion of mine, like if I have a certain snare sound in mind, then I choose the instrument, tune it a certain way, maybe choose a special mic for that. And then I treat it and process it a certain way in order to get closer and closer and closer to that sound I originally had in mind.
Nice.
So with every step of the way, I try to get closer to what I want to hear. And what I want to hear is usually when I listen to the song for the first time is what comes to mind. And usually there's always a notion. When I listen to music, there's always kind of a feel of what would fit in. Sometimes I'm wrong, but and it doesn't actually work as good as I thought it would. But usually I'm pretty close in what I imagine would sound right for me, because it's always subjective. But I imagine something that could work within a song, and then I commit to this way, and then I see if it works. And usually it does.
Yeah. So do you do a lot of back and forth in terms of like changing, I don't know, snares and trying out different...
Sometimes, yeah. If I have the time to do it, then I try to... if if it doesn't feel right, then I quickly change it and take another snare and see if it feels better. And it also has to do with tuning, because some of my snares have a specific tuning, and I don't want to change the tuning all the time, because it takes quite a while to get them back to where they actually sound good to me. And then I take another one. If sometimes I'm a bit lazy, or if there's a lot going on and I have to be quick, then I just use what's there without changing anything, tune it a little differently, dampen it, and see what comes out of it. And if it really doesn't work, I would change it. But usually I find that I can make it work if it's not too far off, like the original sound of the drums. Like I don't know, if I need a tight bass drum, I wouldn't use the huge 24-inch radio kick. But usually you can get away with a lot of stuff, actually.
Just by using the drums there, and that's so cool. Does it ever happen to you that sometimes this happens to me? Like I have some templates that I use, and so I've got like already a few EQs and compression on, and what I'm hearing on the drums is probably not 100% to what I wish it should sound. But then when I go and listen back on the templates, just of what I record, I'm like, oh, right, actually, it's not that bad. Does it ever happen to you? You're like, I need to start from scratch every time. And
I have some templates, but I find that I usually start from scratch, actually. I mean, there's a there's a template usually when I open my DAW, my DAW, like record in Logic, and there is usually a template where I've loaded some EQs and compression plugins, and also where I have all the subgroups going to different like maybe distortion bus, a reverb bus, and then a compression bus, and I have that as a template, but the plugins in these templates, they change very much, and I don't have a specific template for a specific sound. I find that it's easier for me to just start over, and I'm usually quicker. I mean, yeah, sometimes it would make sense, I think, if I really want to have like the exact same sound again and then know what I did, then I just open an old project and take the same snare, and then it usually it sounds pretty much alike, though not exactly the same. But it does not make that much sense to me. Maybe that's because I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to have like 3 sounds and then do the same 3 sounds all over again. I would get bored with that, so I try to come up with something new, and this just also means that I try different processings and
I had a few drummers on that they also like to start from scratch. They don't do any templates. They just like it's funny, they all tell me this, that it's like 80% of their time is spent on getting the sound, and 20 or even less
exactly,
just actually playing. Is
it
the same for you?
It's usually the smallest part, definitely. But maybe that's why it would make sense. Maybe it's a good idea to work more with templates, because I would be quicker then, which means that I could do more work if I'm quicker. So I don't know, maybe I have to think about that.
I mean, it's I guess it depends for everyone. Your sounds phenomenal, and I love the way you keep yourself creative. By every video I watch, your setup is always, not always, but pretty much always different.
It's
you know what I mean?
Different.
Like, you put some different mics. You do like a mono overhead here and there, or you put like a trash mic on the floor or stuff like that. So it's if it works for you, man, why you don't have to change it. I guess you probably want to save some time, but
maybe. I mean, this approach definitely has something. To
for sure.
Be quick, and do you have your sound selection of, let's say, 5 basic standard sounds, and how to get there very quick and easy. That definitely makes a lot of sense, especially when you know that you're working in a certain, let's say, category of recording, and you work for a certain producer who wants to hear this type of sound.
Sounds, for sure. Man, that's awesome. That's it is. Oh man, I could go on for asking you all this all day.
Go on.
So we talked about tuning, we talked about mixing and setting up the drums, and I just wanted to ask you, like, if sometimes, like, you ever get asked, I get asked this sometimes, but I don't know if you do as well, about drum loops, or to do like sample packs or loop packs. Would you be interested in doing that, or are you working on it at the moment?
Yeah, I actually did a couple of sample packs, but they are kind of a byproduct of what I would do anyway, kind of, because if I like a certain sound, then I play around with it, and then I did 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 sample packs actually, but they very much follow what I find fun. I did one, for example, with a tuba player, and we met for one day in a recording studio and just played together, and I cut different loops out of that and some one shots as well. But that was just because I wanted to play with the tuba player, and it was fun to just jam a day with him. That came out. And another one I did with the bass player, and then one time I went for a walk, and I discovered this weird tunnel which had the craziest reverb. I don't know. It sounded really, really weird, like, kind of a slapback echo type reverb. Weird. And then I thought, oh, that would be great to put my drum set in there and record it. And that's what I did. And so it's not, sometimes they don't really make a lot of sense, these sample packs, but they were fun to make. And so I made them.
That's no, man. That's great. That's great. Oh man, I need to check it out, especially the one in the tunnel. Sounds fun.
It was really fun. It's Relate Audio is it's a separate thing because I didn't want to mix it too much with what I usually do as a recording, the session drummer. But so I created a special website for that. It's called Relate Audio.
Okay. And, yeah. Oh, great, nice.
So I definitely I also like loops and samples and sample packs. They are a specific sound category to me. So in a certain type of music, producers and DJs work a lot with that, and that's perfectly fine. It doesn't always have to be like live tracking from start to the end.
Yeah. I especially like your sounds. They sound very live drums, like from the videos I saw. You kind of.
It's what I prefer, and that's what I like to hear. But if somebody else prefers working with loops, and the style, like works well with that. It's
nice.
Fine.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. When it comes to dealing with clients, let's say someone gets in touch with you and is like, hey man, I need drums on my song, blah blah blah. Can you explain a little bit your workflow? How do you go from receiving the tracks to choosing what like what drums to use and all that, and then dealing with clients especially?
I usually try to find out as much as I can before I start recording, which means that I ask him if he has any specific sound in mind or what are his influences, or sometimes producers and artists know exactly what they want, and then which is perfect for me because then I know where to start, and the risk of going in the completely wrong direction is not as high if I know where to go to. So, and sometimes they have a programmed track which is already pretty close. They just want to have more of the live feel, and then of course I listen to that and then try to incorporate as much of this programmed drums as I can, but like doing it my way. And sometimes I work, for example, I work with a producer in Nashville on a frequent basis, and he always gives me complete like free hand on what I do. He just sends me a rough acoustic track with a little bit of vocals and acoustic guitar, and says, I like what you do whatever you want, it will be great. And he doesn't tell me anything, not even a tiny hint. So that's the other end, and it works fine as well. Of course, sometimes it could go wrong, but with him it never does. But sometimes if producers or artists don't know exactly what they want from the beginning, then sometimes they hear something and then figure out, it's not really what I want. And then, but I usually try to agree on, there's one revision included. And if they want more, they would have to pay. Usually I never charge them, but I say it at the beginning that one revision is included because that makes it more focused. And the feedback, and it's not like going back and forth 10 times, which makes it really difficult because, for example, when you're in a different time zone, then I have to wait a day until I get feedback, which means I can't do anything else in between because I have to keep the drum set up in the exact same, because I want to have, I have to reproduce it the next day. So I try to be very clear in communications from the beginning because it makes it easier.
We had a bit of this kind of conversations with other drummers as well about waiting time. Probably in 10 years time we won't have this problem anymore, but so far like the most annoying part of it is just like to wait for feedback, which can take sometimes like a whole day, and you're just stuck there and just like you could do another project, you could do something else, and just you have to wait for them to and as you said, like time zone doesn't help as well, because if you're somewhere else, you're in Austria and you have to wait for Nashville time to
Yeah.
get like some feedback. It's quite long. Yeah.
But it helps to really agree like on a time when you meet, and like I tell them usually I will have something ready by then. Please be available and listen back and give me feedback, because I need to keep on working. And yeah, so that helps. Like a clear communication helps a lot.
Yeah. So you give like 24 hours for feedback. Then after that is
That very much depends. Sometimes I try to I'm starting recording an album next week for an Austrian singer-songwriter. It's 10 songs, and I know that I can't wait the whole day, because it would take me a month to finish this album if I wait a day every time to give me feedback for one song. Yeah. So I told him that I will have something ready by Wednesday at 12, and I asked him to be available at 12 so that I can send him something and give me feedback directly, maybe via video call, listen back, tell me what he wants to change.
Yeah.
And then do a second version, and an hour later I call him again, like very direct as possible. But of course, it's not always possible like that. But
yeah. Of course, yeah. There is another one I wanted to ask you about remote recording, because we spoke a little bit, but not that much about this, and it's quite of a touchy subject. It's like pricing. How do you go about pricing? Do you have like a fixed rate? That's it. This is what I offer, like one review, and this is what you get, or do you like, you know what? Depending on the budget, I like the artist. I just, I might change.
Sometimes I have a fixed rate, and that's actually no secret. It's 200 euros per song. That depends a little on mainly two things. If it's a lot more work, like if it's really a kind of a beat creating thing where it takes a day, with tons of overdubs, and where it's actually a big part of the music, where it's not just, play drum tracks, edit them a little bit, and send them back. But it's really a kind of a producing part of the song, then I would charge more. And there is also the possibility that if someone wants to record a whole album, for example, like next week, then I charge a little less per song, because it's 10 songs.
Yeah. It's like a discount.
But usually it's a fixed rate, and that makes it easier for me, and it makes it easier for my customers as well.
Nice. When it comes to sending files, some people just like to send the raw files, like, the raw drums, the raw stems. Some others just send the mixed ones. Some others send both. What's your take on that?
I usually send the processed ones, except when the producer really asks me to send him the stems, the raw signals as well, because he wants to recreate the sound I did on his own, for example, or he has his own plugins and tools he wants to use. Then, of course, I will send them too. But that sometimes is a very, very different sound than the processed signals. So, if somebody asks me for my sound, then it would not really make sense to send him the stems unprocessed, because that's a completely different thing then.
Sure.
So I usually send the processed signals, and if I get asked to send the other as well, then I do.
Of course, yeah, nice, yeah. And I had this conversation the other day with a French drummer, and he was saying, he sends as well, like mixed drums, and he asks for production credits as well. And I was like, this is like a good one that not many people know about, and we should, because he was saying,
you could ask. Usually it doesn't happen, but you can always ask.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because he was like, you know what, I mix those drums, and I'm sure like they're such a big part of the song, like if you mix them differently, they would change the song so much. And he was like, yeah, I need. Every time I mix drums, they use my drums. I need to be in the production credits, otherwise.
He's actually right, and it would be fair. I think. Also, like the whole track gets mixed, of course, again with the drums in place. Then, so mixing is usually not the. You don't get credits for mixing; you just get paid for mixing. So it depends a little on how you see it, but I think he's right in that drums contributes such a huge part of what the song actually is,
Yeah.
that it would be fair to get credited for that in the production. But I have to think about that. Maybe I should start at least asking, because somebody might give me some
Yeah.
credit.
Yeah,
Who
yeah, yeah,
knows?
yeah. Why not?
I guess usually they will say no, because that's the convenient thing when you hire a session drummer, that you just pay him and then you can do whatever you want with the tracks. So
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And especially because the drum sounds we come up with, like now, especially in modern drum sounds, it's just quite specific. For example, actually, I wanted to ask you this about layers, because you have like some videos online that I saw, like you had cool layers of drums. How do you go about it, and how do you? Because my problem, for example, when it comes to layers, is like envisioning what could work, and so sometimes I just over add too many layers, send
Hell yeah.
everything, and I just say, like, you know what, if you think it's too much, just these are the
Remove
stems.
them.
Just remove them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that for sure happened to me too, and it sometimes is part of the process, because they have to decide. There's a producer behind the track who actually later decides what he wants to use, and it's nice to have some options if wants to go slightly different direction, and he doesn't need as many overdubs. That's fine to offer a little more, I think. The amount of layers, let's put it like that, depends really a lot on the context. If it's a very, like pop song, which is very produced, then they tend to be a lot, because you want to have this very processed type drums with this, with all these different depths going on, like different parts and different reverbs and different rooms and spaces, and some very direct signals and others in the back, and pan left and right. So you want to have spacious and kind of big drums, not necessarily like in a big room, but you want to have drums that do not sound flat, and sometimes it's enough to just add a little shaker here and there, and that's it, because that's all the song needs. And also, they don't have to be stereo. Sometimes there are mono drums with two mics, and they work fine in a song.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
that very, very much depends on the song.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Do you do a lot of processing on the layers? Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes crazy amounts of reverb and like, but also depending.
Yeah, depending on the song again. Yeah. Okay, so we normally finish the episode with the 10. I'll say this for the first time: non-rapid fire questions, because every.
Thank you, because I really am not really good at rapid fire questions.
No, man. You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
If somebody asks me to answer something quick, I usually cannot answer it at all, because I'm like,
we're all the same, man. Like literally, like every drummer, like we all trying to, I started with calling it a rapid fire question, but even the type of questions, they're not rapid fire. So feel free to expand. Feel free to keep going as much as you want about this. So,
okay.
First one is top 3 albums for best drum sound.
I have a lot of music that I listen to in different categories. So, but one that's stuck with me for a long time was Racing Sand. Robert Plant and Alison Krauss.
Yeah.
That influenced me quite a lot.
Jay Bellerose, right?
Yes, drums. Yeah. Jay Bellerose was the drummer, and T-Bone Burnett produced it. And
nice.
Then there is the band, Music from Big Pink. Great sounding album. Liv on Helm, great drummer.
Nice.
And Audioslave, the album Audioslave, Brett Wilk.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic rock sound.
The first one, yeah, the first Audioslave album.
I think it's the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they got like a couple of 2 or 3 albums, but yeah. Okay, the first one, nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, great rock sound. Yeah, for
A
sure.
fantastic rock sound with this bell brass ringy snare. It sounds fantastic.
Yeah, is it Rick
Mhm.
Rubin producing it, right?
I
I
think,
think.
yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah.
about that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Great choice. Great choice. So, number two is
Mhm.
favorite part of your job.
That would be listening to drum parts I created in the finished song. That's one of the best feelings in the world, I think.
Nice. Nice. Number three
Yeah.
is worst part of your job.
Mm, sometimes I tend to get stuck in my head, especially when there's a lot
Mm,
going on, and then I can't decide what I want to do first, and I can focus, and that kind of sucks. That's
okay.
probably the
Okay.
worst part when that happens to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Four is piece of gear you cannot do without when recording drums at the moment, and that without
At the moment.
except sticks.
Except sticks. Probably my Radio King set, although I cannot use that as much as I would like because it sounds very special. So the thing I probably use most often is Ludwig 6.5 inch Supraphonic Super Sensitive from the 60s.
Nice. Oh man, great. Five is dream artist you love to record for.
Brandy Carlisle.
Brandy Carlisle. Yeah, love it. Yes. Six is what plugins you normally use on your drum bus. So, I mean, we discussed this a little bit, but yeah, if you have any any specific.
One that's very often part of the mixing process is the Waves J37
Yeah.
tape emulation and Soft Tube Transient Shaper.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Transit Shaper. Yeah, nice.
Mhm.
Seven is a part, of course, from watching your amazing videos, which I love. Is there a
Thanks.
book or a video tutorial that you would recommend to people that are starting out and want to start recording drums?
I never read a book actually. I did watch years ago the videos Aaron Sterling did. This,
Sound of Steroid.
yeah, exactly. Those are great, and they influenced me definitely. But I would suggest just start fooling around and try. That's probably the best approach.
Nice.
Mhm.
Who's your inspiration when it comes to recording drums?
Oh, there are many. Jay Bellerose, of course. Then the old guys like Levon Helm, Benny Benjamin, Pistol Allen.
Oh yeah,
You know the
yeah,
Funk
the Motown
Brothers.
guys. Yeah.
And yeah, since we were talking about Audioslave, Brett Wilk, of course, when it comes to rock drums, wow, there are really many influences, and I feel like sometimes I actually know when I'm playing where it comes from. I feel like if I play a certain way, then I know exactly which influence is there now at the
Okay.
moment when I'm playing that. It's actually kind of fun. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Do you feel like when you kind of envision the song you're about to record that you kind of think about the drummer that will play in a way? Of course, it's
Yeah,
you, but
yeah, I do
yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes I'm Jay Bellerose.
Mm, that's it.
Also,
Yeah.
nobody can be him, but you know, I think about the music that he records, and I know so much of what he did, and really listen to a lot of recordings that he plays on. That kind of get a feel for what he might do, and that sometimes, yeah, it's definitely an influence on what I do then.
Nice. Number nine is best advice you've ever received.
The best advice. It's maybe not so much an advice as the experience that I'm actually good enough, and that I, can trust myself and my musical intuition. That's probably the best thing that happened to me over the years, that I learned to trust myself.
Nice.
Mhm.
Worst advice you've ever received?
That you need to learn a lot of difficult licks in order to be a good drummer.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, no, you need to know all the rudiments in the book, otherwise
Yeah.
you're out of the of the drum community. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's like kind of that was how I thought for a long time.
yeah.
And
Same.
yeah, it didn't occur to me that there are many other ways without learning gospel licks.
Yeah. It's funny how I don't know. It was the same for me when I was learning drums. They just told
Yeah.
you have to know all these rudiments, all this, and all these fills, and but then the music. I was so focused on the technical part of it. I was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, exactly. That's
and
it.
then
Yes.
it kind
Yeah.
of switched, and I was like, wait a minute. We're actually doing music. We're not doing just just not doing
Yeah.
technical
Yeah. Yeah.
exercises on how to hold the stick and blah blah blah. And just, yeah,
Yeah. It's
definitely a
very
good
easy
one.
to get caught up in that and stay on that. And then you
Mm,
sound like a million other drummers and it kind of gets boring to me.
yeah,
It's like when
yeah.
Steve Gadd, plays two beats on a hi-hat, it's way more interesting than
Yeah,
listening to somebody who plays in the same times a
a million
million,
notes.
which also can be fine, and it fits a certain style and context, and it's admirable how good these guys are. Really, I like it, but
Yeah.
there are so many other possibilities. Mhm.
Yeah. It's funny, especially like non-drummers. They kind of see that as like, oh wow, that guy's
Mhm.
playing so many notes. He's amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now when you're a drummer, like actually you can play one note and just make feel that like
make
a
that sound interesting. Yeah.
yeah like
Mhm.
$1 million. Yeah. Okay. Then one piece of advice you would give to young and aspiring drummers that would do they would like to do what you do today.
Um, I would say try to find the thing that really turns you on and dig into that and no matter if somebody else says it's wrong or weird. In fact, the weirder maybe the better, and really trust yourself in that. And I promise you, it will turn out fine.
Nice. Oh man, that's great. That's so good. Have you got anything, any current or future project that you can share before we wrap up? Or
Um, I think I already talked about that. But, I start doing album recording next week, and then I will have to start preparing for this live show that
okay,
starts in March, because
yeah.
it's quite a lot of songs, and I hate playing with lead sheets, so I try to learn them by heart before
All
the
right.
first rehearsal, which I hate doing. Actually, it's such a lot of work but I feel more comfortable because if I play with sheets, then 1/3 of my attention is always on the sheets and not where it actually should be.
So you
So
don't write anything
I,
when you learn songs, like you
I
just
actually do. I write it down
okay,
because it helps me memorize it, but then I
right.
put it away and play it without the sheets. But it's a long process, and I don't always go into that deep. And sometimes I just write it down and then I play from the sheets,
Just
which
right.
makes it a
Yeah.
lot easier. But in this case, I want to really do it properly, and because in this show, it's a very timed show where a lot of it is. Has to be like on cue from a singer, and I need this attention to stay on that and not really on
Yeah.
looking at
Focus
my
on the
sheets.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
so
so cool.
yeah.
Nice. Mate, yeah, thank you. So, actually, before we finish, where's the best place for people to reach you? Instagram or
Probably Instagram. My Insta account. I usually look through the messages. Yeah, just
nice.
text me there. Mhm.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. David, thank you so much for this. It's been absolute pleasure. And yeah,
Thank
man,
you for having me, man. And yeah,
no man.
it's great.
Yeah, it was great. If you ever happen to be in London, man, let me know if you come again. Either by car or, or by plane. Just
Yeah, I will do that. We'll love it to meet you in person.
yeah, Absolutely. Nice
That would
one.
be
Thank
great.
you, David.
Definitely
Have a
give me
good
a
rest
call.
of your day. Yeah. Cheers,
Thanks.
brother. Take care. Bye, bye,
Ciao.
bye.
Bye.